Are you surviving instead of thriving? Jesus promises abundant life, not just existence. Join us for Pray Without Ceasing 2026 on August 15th in Buena Park, California, for a day of restoration, renewal, and reconnection with God. Stop running on empty. Experience the fullness Christ died to give you. Pray Without Ceasing 2026 because you weren't meant to just survive. Register now at praywithoutceasingministries.com. Welcome back to the Leading from Wholeness podcast. I'm Audrey Shelby, and I have a surprise for you today. So guess what? Oh my goodness, guess what today is? Today is my 12th wedding anniversary. I'm so excited. And I have hubby here, and we decided we would just do some reflections on 12 years of marriage. So today's pod's going to be a little bit different, but we hope that you find some usefulness, glean something from it. Honey, you want to say hi?
I'm back, y'all. So glad to be here. Brandon Shelby, for those who do not know me, and I'm excited to get into this conversation. Reflections of 12 years of marriage. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. It's so funny. So we did our first pod together, and there were so many just comments and reviews about us both. And so today we're back and hoping that you really, really enjoy this time. Okay, so I have a few questions. I think we kind of want this to be an organic conversation, but I did give us a couple of questions I think to reflect on. So let's start with this. So we have been married. Well, do we want to start with how we met? Did we tell that story on the first episode?
We told it again. We told it, but we can tell it again.
Okay.
For folks who have not known or don't know.
So we'll do the short version. We met on a blind date. We have a really great common friend. Shout out to Phaedra. And she set us up on a blind date. And now 12 years later, we are here. Okay, so this is the first question I'll ask, right? So thinking about this, honey, what are your reflections over 12 years of marriage?
I mean, that's deep, and it's a lot to encapsulate in one sentence or a few, but I'll just say that it's been a blessing. Let's just start there. 12 years of marriage has been a blessing, full of peaks and valleys, but more peaks than valleys. And I would say that the most important thing for me and has been our evolution and growth as a couple. When we started this marriage in this union back in 2014, May 17th, in front of so many people, it was hot that day.
It was so hot.
And we were focused on just getting through. I know I was just focused on getting through the ceremony and having fun with so many loved ones and friends and family members. But it went by so fast. And then we were married. And then we went into each day, one day at a time. And I think that's the best way to approach marriage, is one day at a time. I didn't look ahead. I didn't really look behind. I look behind now, kind of reflecting on 12 years.
Yeah.
But getting caught up on, I guess, what lies ahead so much. Not that you don't plan, but I was really focused on the present. I felt like I was present in each phase and stage. In 12 years, you can really break it up into 3 parts, right? 4. But nonetheless, for me, it has been and continues to be a blessing for me to see our growth and maturation, because who we were when we started is definitely not who we are now.
Absolutely not.
I would definitely point out 3 key areas. Keeping Jesus at the center of our marriage is paramount. Communication between one another, and then togetherness. And how I would define communication is communicating whether you want to or whether you don't. Over communication, finding new ways we can properly communicate with one another has been something that is ever evolving and has evolved over the years. When you think about togetherness, it's where we can connect. You know, we got 2 beautiful daughters, and from the time we were single, got married, were together before we had kids, and now parenting and also finding time to date one another. Finding
Yeah.
time to find time for one another creates that togetherness that needs to happen and continues to be a priority for us. And so, we've had more times where we were effective in that area and other times where we weren't, but it's all a learning experience. And the beauty of our marriage is that it's never ending, right? There's always opportunities for us to grow, evolve, and mature as a couple.
I love that you said that. I mean, when you say grow and evolve, we are not the same people from 12 years ago.
No.
Like, I think, what's that thing people say is like, on your wedding day, you're not saying yes to the person you're standing before at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying yes to something 20 years out, 30
Yeah.
years out, and you really don't understand. I think, yes, you understand, like, in sickness and in health till death do us part, and richer or poorer, but you don't really understand what that's going to look like for you. And so you're saying yes to a promise. Yes to a promise for someone to love you. Yes to a promise for someone to be faithful. Yes to a promise for somebody to always show up for you. But you can't see. You can't see 20 years down the line. You can't see 5 years down the line. And so it really is this, like you said, you just don't know. And so I think for me, reflecting on 12 years,
Mm-hmm.
one thing I learned is you have to be willing to surrender your marriage to God. There's so much, we say so much about being married, and I would say maybe from when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, when I get married, and I thought I would have been married by 25, and when we got married, I was 31, and I really felt like I was behind. But in hindsight, I wasn't ready to be my wife at 25. Like, I was very much still a bit of a mess. And so I'm glad for God's timing. But, marriage is God's idea. It wasn't our idea.
Right.
Right? He created marriage for us. And if marriage is his idea, then how can we not put him at the center of it? And so often I think in my head, it's like, oh, I want our marriage to be like this. And I'm trying to like manage our marriage, if that makes sense, and manage the relationship. But really, I think when we've been the most successful years and times and seasons for us have been when we surrendered our marriage to God.
I agree.
And I absolutely would say, I think we're doing that now more in current years than we did former.
Well, we're letting the Holy Spirit lead us in ways that we had not before. And you made a comment about you don't know what you're getting into. And I don't think you would want to know what you were getting into.
No.
Because it's
No.
the things that we have faced
Yeah.
throughout our marriage. I mean,
And I'll
by
get there.
But yeah, sickness and in health, but not only our personal sickness and in health, but even family members and things that we have faced. It's like you couldn't plan for that.
No.
We could not anticipate what life was going to throw at us when we said I do. And I liken it, I think a pastor or someone in the past, it said, as soon as you say I do, yes, it's a beautiful event in a beautiful union that God ordained, but be prepared for the fight. And not the fight between each other, you as a couple, but the fight against the enemy. Because he's working now on overtime, especially if it's in a covenant relationship, to steal, kill, and destroy what you established under God. And it's important for people, I think, and even us to be reminded of keeping Christ at the center of what we do, our decisions, our conversations, our conduct, and our ability to connect with one another is vital to our success now and long term.
No, absolutely. I mean, and that's why I go back to the need to submit your marriage to God. And really, like, what I mean by that is asking God, what are his goals for your marriage?
Yeah.
What are you supposed to produce in this marriage? In Genesis, it says, be fruitful and multiply. Well, what does that look like? I was reminded recently that fruitfulness is not always just about procreation. Yes, it is about that. for us to produce children, but there's also other things that are supposed to be birthed through your union. There's other things that are supposed to be birthed through your marriage. And so there is a mission, if you will, on your marriage. Marriage is God's idea. And so the spouse that you have is who God has provided to you prayerfully. You prayed about that person. You know that God has sent that person to you. And if you know that that is the case, and that what I just said is for you. If you know that you're like, I don't quite know that, and that's okay. Like if you're like, I don't quite know that I heard God around this one, continue to pray about your marriage, absolutely. But for my marriage, let's just talk about us. God told me this was my husband, and we met on a blind date. And so it wasn't until more recently that I'm like, well, hold up, I got to submit my marriage to God. I need to be praying for my husband. I need to be praying for my marriage, because I don't know what we're supposed to be doing. It's not just for us to love on each other and have fun and having some babies. Yes, that is, but there's a mission on our marriage, right? We're called to one another. And so that's the thing that I'm learning now after 12 years. It's like, I need to submit this thing to God, because here's the thing. The Bible says that God knows the numbers of hairs on your head. So if God knows the numbers of hairs on this man's head, God knows him a whole lot more than I do. And so I've learned to just submit my husband to God and to pray through everything. So that was one reflection I had.
I got a lot more gray hairs now too. But
I like your gray. It's very much giving George Clooney.
thank
I
you.
love it.
Hey,
I love
I'll
it.
take it, George. I'll take it. I want to ask you a question though.
Yeah.
So what do you feel is the most challenging time in our marriage? What has been the most challenging time that
What
you
has
feel?
been the most, that's a good question. What has been the most challenging time? I'll say this, and it's not going to be what you may think I'm going to say. For me, I think the most challenging time in our marriage was when I realized that it's not your job to make me happy.
Wow. Expand on that, please.
Yeah, no, I know. So I was about,
Help the people.
so when we got married, we got pregnant a year after we got married, and then we had our daughter. So when I gave birth, we had been married for 2 years. And mind you, we knew each other about a little under 2 years when we got married, right? So we're coming in like 3.5 years that we had been together, married for a year and a half, and then we have our first daughter. And I dealt with postpartum like that. And I remember praying that I wouldn't get postpartum, but that was just a part of my journey. I did get postpartum. And you can share kind of what that was like. I don't mind you sharing. But for me, because your perspective is important, for me, it was a very difficult time. And I remember at one point, our daughter was, I think, under 1 years old. And we were sitting there one night, and I was just like, I'm not happy. And that spiraled into a whole, disagreement, discussion. And it would be a couple years later that I started to realize it's not his job for me to be happy. My happiness is partly my responsibility, but it's also partly for me to trust and take that to God. Like the places where I was broken, I brought into our marriage. And I was still healing as I was loving, right? Like I'm loving my husband and still healing as I went. And I can tell you that I didn't always know how to love. And so when I was like, I'm not happy, it was like, well, I'm not getting what I want, or this doesn't look like what I wanted this to look like. It doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like. And then externally, you have this I'm not happy kind of bratty, I'm having a tantrum thing. But really what I'm learning now after 12 years is the places where I feel like I lack, or the places where I still have questions or I'm unclear about how to do this thing called marriage, I got to take it to God. And I have to be whole within myself in order to be whole in this marriage. And here's the thing, you don't have to come into the marriage whole. But when you come in, be honest with where you are. And I think I thought I was one place. And when I started having children, I was in another place. And so this kind of perpetual state of healing and growing and bumping your head and just doesn't feel good, and constantly adjusting and pivoting, it didn't always feel good to me. But as you said before, peaks and valleys, right? But we've had more peaks than we've had valleys. In the valleys, I've been grateful for the growth. Growth doesn't always feel good, but it took quite a few years for me to recognize that my happiness is not up to him. My happiness is up to me. And I was talking to some friends a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about expectations and how sometimes in our marriages we have uncommunicated expectations or sometimes unrealistic expectations, and the unfulfillment of that is what can lead to unhappiness or bitterness in your marriage. And so for me, going back to what you said, communication, I overly communicate with my husband because I want him to know what I'm thinking. I want him to know what I don't want him to know that I'm thinking, because I want to be as clear as possible about what it is that I need. So in the areas where it is something he can help support me in, that he knows about it. But ultimately, what I realize is like, it ain't your job to make me happy. Part of my happiness comes from me internally, and it's not for me to put that on you. So I think it was a long-winded answer to your question, but yeah.
Yeah, going back to that moment, I sought wise counsel, and you can often, I can just speak for myself. We can be selfish at times as husband and men. We can have a mindset of, especially when things don't go our way, or we feel like we're being slighted in the relationship. You can often have the mindset of, well, I didn't sign up for this, when actually you did. You
You
absolutely
did.
did. Let me lean in, guys. You absolutely did. When you said I do, no one forced you to do it. You signed up for. That's what that part in sickness and in health. It's not just the physical health. It is mental health too. It is
That's
spiritual health.
that's good.
And your lack of understanding of your partner and what they may be going through, that's also not for you to solve. That's for you to take it to God in prayer. That's for you to communicate and ask, well, how can I show up for you in this moment? In these moments where you're not receiving what you feel you need from me. Or maybe it's bringing other wise counsel people into the certain situation that can provide some guidance or advice, seeking therapy, going to a pastor or somebody that's trusted that can give godly advice and level set, and even seeking friends who are currently. I'm blessed to have a bunch of brothers who are in my life. Some are married and some are not, but I'm blessed to have those men where I can be open, honest, and transparent with in times that I feel weak, in times that I feel that I'm inadequate, in times that I feel frustrated. And it's vital when you talk about that village that encourages you and pushes you back to your family, your wife, your children. You need that support system that will help guide you through and encourage you to go back to the drawing board. Why did you marry Audrey in the first place, Brandon? Why did you? Yes, she's going through a tough time, but how can you support her? You don't know what she went through. Like yes, you were on the peripheral supporting your wife for those 10 months and bringing this child into the world, but she bore that child. She birthed that child. Her physical body changed. Her physiological makeup has shifted and changed drastically like it never has before. And so you talk about postpartum. I had to read up on that. Well, what do women go through in postpartum? I had to ask even doctors and other people, like, well, how did you support your wife when she went through that? Because it's not an easy feat. And a lot of times, unfortunately, what men do is suffer in silence. And I refuse to do that. I refused to do that for myself. Because when you suffer in silence, you do things that are not of God, and you can put yourself in situations that you didn't anticipate being in the first place. And I think that is something that, in order to avoid those pitfalls, you gotta, again, communicate, love your person through their hard times, because she's loved me through my dark places in times, and we're better for it is what I'm trying to get at. But without seeking to understand and communicating and coming from a place of love and understanding, you can't persevere and push through. That makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense. And let me ask you this, because you asked me this. For you, what was the most challenging point in our marriage?
And maybe I would honestly say it could have been that period of postpartum, but I don't want to relegate it to that. When my mom got sick, and I mean, when you dropped everything to show up, when she initially got, she had the aneurysm, and you had to come back from, where were you coming back? I don't even remember now.
Seattle.
Yeah, coming back from Seattle on a work trip. It was on a Tuesday, April 17, 2018, and it rocked my world, because she had aneurysm, which she had 1% chance of living, and you came back, drop of a hat, to be present with me. That was incredible. My mom is still alive, praise the Lord.
Yes.
She's 8 years removed from that in 2018.
Yeah, we're going on.
Yeah, it's 8
It's
years.
9 years.
9 years.
No. It's 8
8
years.
years. 8 years this
Olivia's
year.
Too. Yeah, 8
Yeah.
years this year.
So 8 years removed from the aneurysm, and we still have ebb and flows. But me being an only child and having my parents as my primary source of communication support for all the years leading up to us being married, now leaning and depending on you, as well as letting you in terms of being vulnerable to communicate. I would say it's been an ongoing evolution of what's been hard.
Yeah.
Because there is a level of guilt that I felt over the years, like, well, maybe I could have done more or should have done more to take maybe a load off of my mom and dad for what they have kind of pushed through. And then the expectation, and it may be warped, a thought process, but even expecting you to step up in a way where it's a level of guilt. Well, I can't expect her to do more when we already have all this to manage in our own household. And honestly, there's been ebbs and flows of where, and we've sought therapy and did other things, because we had another life traumatic event with me getting cancer that caused us to have more of a come to Jesus moment. But I would say that the toughest part of our marriage has been the constant push and press through, because we weren't married 2 years, and then we faced something devastating, right?
It was more than 2 years. So Libby was 2, and so we were coming on like 4 years when your mom had the aneurysm, because we got married in 2014 and she had the aneurysm in 2018. So we were married for 4 years.
I think that in and of itself, what it's taught me is, how can we continue to be present for one another through life's challenges?
Yeah, it's because you go back to, and then people write different vows and they say different things, but one of the traditional things is to say, in sickness and in health, and I think the part that we don't often understand or anticipate, rather, we may have understanding, but you can't anticipate
No.
sickness and in health, meaning of your in-laws,
Right.
like of your parents.
Correct.
And so that's the part of like
it's inevitable, but when it happens, and there's no.
And I wouldn't even say inevitable. Everybody's parents don't get sick. I think, like, my dad didn't get sick. He had a heart attack one day and died. Like, we didn't go through years of sickness. But again, you cannot anticipate what's going to happen. And that's why I'm going to go back to what I said before. That's why it's so important to make sure that you're marrying the right person.
Yeah.
Don't get so excited because they cute or she's really pretty or
He's really handsome or whatever
you feel
whatever
all
thing is.
these butterflies and all that. Pray about the person you are dating right now. Pray if you say you're listening, you're like, girl, I ain't dating nobody. Pray about the man that's coming. Pray about the woman that's coming and ask God, please send me my spouse. I prayed for my husband probably about 5 years before I met Brandon. I kept praying, and my prayer was a couple of things, but I'll kind of simplify it. It was primarily, let me be ready when he comes. Because I had dealt with trauma. Was dealing with rejection issues. I think I shared with you on the last pod. I'm adopted. And so even though I had a really loving family, my mother not being there, it was like this perpetual hole that I needed to like fill in, because I kept having these issues of somehow I wasn't good enough because she didn't raise us, and she didn't have enough of whatever it is that you need to say, I'm going to deal with my crap, but I'm going to raise my children. No. And I don't know that that's a realistic expectation that I put on her, right? I dealt with rejection and abandonment issues. And so when you're dealing with all of that, it can make dating challenging. And so my prayer was, Lord, like, heal me and let me be ready when my husband comes. And then my prayer for my husband that I hadn't known yet was, let him be ready. Let him love you. And I went through all these things. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. But pray for the person who God is sending you. The Bible says, he that finds a wife finds a good thing. Those of you who are women, you're already a wife, right? So you're waiting to be found. But when he finds you, pray that it's the right man that finds you. And so that was my prayer for so long, is that I would be ready. So now when we're talking about, can you do life with this person?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, it's real. Like, I didn't think I was going to get postpartum. I prayed to not, I'm be very honest with you. I prayed to not get postpartum. I had dealt with depression in my 20s. And if you look up the stats, it said, okay, if you had a history of depression before, your likelihood of getting postpartum, I think it was maybe like 30%, something like that. Y'all check the stats. Go Google that. But as I remember seeing it, I was like, oh, and I was praying like, Lord, please don't let me get postpartum. Please don't let me get postpartum. I really was. My husband's laughing. I was
I wish you
praying.
would have told me. So I could have been like praying with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lord, maybe 2 positions would have worked. You know what I mean? But it's okay.
But I did. Anyway, nevertheless, I got postpartum. And when I tell you, it wasn't, we got to 6 months. Our baby was 6 months old, and the baby blues that they call them, the baby blues weren't going away. And I remember going to my 6-month postpartum doctor's appointment, and I said, I think something's wrong. And the doctor, she said, what's wrong? I said, my baby blues are not going away. And then I did 9 months. And she said, how you doing? I said, it's not going away. She said, okay, we need to get you to a therapist. And so, can you do life with the person? Like, I think that's what marriage has taught me, is you got to be able to do life with people. Putting that dress on, putting on that tux.
That's cute.
It don't mean nothing.
Nada.
If the mess hit the fan, can you be in the convalescent home? Can you show up in the hospital? Can you hold your spouse's hand when the surgeon saying, we're going to cut you straight through to remove a tumor? It is that serious. Can you do life with somebody? You mad because his socks is on the floor? If that's the only thing you got, keep that. Keep the socks on the floor, right? It's like, if you got a healthy marriage, that's such a blessing, because there are sometimes when you notice you don't know who you are till the valley hit. You don't know what's saying you to the valley comes.
You really don't have any clue. And that's what the Bible talks about in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 12. Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. What that means in layman's terms is, Audrey and I together, are good. But with Christ at the center, that three-part cord can't be easily broken. And life is going life, and it's going to hit you in the face, and in the jaw, and in the gut. And you better make sure, as my wife said, that you are aligned, mated, and corded with a person that through sickness and in health will be present with you through all those seasons. And I'm grateful that we chose one another. God brought us together, and more specifically, we've seen a lot through life's challenges. A lot of blessings too. It's not just about bad stuff.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like we've had a lot of triumphs and a lot of successes, and we continue to do that. Like we're writing books, and
yeah.
we are pursuing degrees, and we are raising two beautiful daughters, and they're amazing, and it's so much to be grateful for.
Yes.
That you really can't put all of those things into this podcast conversation to encapsulate. And at the same time, if we can implore anybody that's listening to the sound of our voices on the other end, is that you want to make sure that you are mated in a union with someone that's going to be 10 toes down with you to ensure that they can do everything within their own power to be present and love on you and love you through whatever mess you may face, whatever trials you face, whatever successes you face. And that's what's most important.
So let me piggyback off of that. What have been your most joyful time in our marriage?
Man.
It doesn't have to be one. It could be whatever, a couple. But like most, because like you said, let's focus on the peaks.
Yeah.
What have been some of the most joyful times in our marriage?
Oh, man. The most joyful times have got to be surrounded. I know the postpartum part, but I mean, being present, bringing life into this world with Olivia and you. It was two different experiences. And Olivia being brought into this world, and then Layla, right? Two daughters. The first one, we was there for like 24, 26.
I was in labor for 20 or 22 hours.
22 hours. So that was a long process of our first child being brought into the world. Our second child, it was quick. It was to the extent like I was in the, I remember, I'll never forget. I went to go get, my wife she was like, just make sure, we had been through this before. She was like, make sure you get me some food, and specifically a Five Guys burger.
Yes.
I want to eat that right as soon as I'm done. I was like, okay, I don't know if you have a burger, but if you want a burger, I'm going to get you a burger. So went to Five Guys.
Now, mind you, wait, you got to set the context. I'm already in labor.
In labor.
I'm in labor. We're in the hospital, in the waiting room.
Yeah.
They say, okay, hey, you're 6 centimeters dilated. We have, it's going to be a little bit before you get a room. So just wait in the waiting room. So I'm in the waiting room. It's like, honey, maybe at least 6 or 8 other pregnant women who all are, everybody's in labor.
Everybody
Like we're all in labor. It's kind of quiet.
It's a room of labor.
We're waiting for a room. And I tell them, like, hey, just go. I think we were doing, like, DoorDash or some kind of delivery service.
Pick up, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, just have them, meet them downstairs. I think it was Uber Eats. Meet them downstairs at the hospital. Because as soon as I had this baby, I want this cheeseburger.
Yep.
And the thing about it was, I could still eat. Like, they hadn't said I couldn't eat. So I was like, let me get this cheeseburger. Okay, now enter the scene.
So enter the scene. I go downstairs. I get the Uber Eats burger. I come back upstairs. I'm getting situated back in the labor room. Mind you, it's all kind of men and women in the same labor room, waiting room. And then my wife's water breaks. And then I'm still kind of not processing that her water broke.
It's the worst pain. It felt like somebody kicked me in my good girl. Like, I felt like I got kicked in the good girl, and then all of a sudden there was this rush of warm water.
And then
And
she
I
couldn't
was
say nothing.
like,
I'm like, are you okay?
it took my breath away.
And then she was like, go get somebody, heck. I ain't gonna say the other word.
I
But
didn't. He says that.
she
This is
did.
our debate.
She
I
did.
said, go get them help.
Nope.
Go get help is
No.
what I said.
This pray without ceasing woman said, go get somebody, heck. And so I went to go grab the nurse. And by the time I got back, all the men had packed up all of our stuff because they were like, your wife is going now, so we got to get you to the delivery room.
They were so kind.
And it was a blessing. Yeah, we got to the delivery room, and a few hours later, Layla was here. Maybe if it wasn't even an hour.
No. So let me set some context.
An hour or two.
I go into labor.
Yeah.
She's born 2 hours later.
They just came in with the epidural.
It wasn't 2 hours later. No, it wasn't. So I go into labor. So I've been in labor, right? My water breaks. She comes about an hour after my water breaks.
Yeah.
So they get me in that room.
That was another thing too.
And so remember, I was already 6 centimeters dilated. Water breaks. And I'm like, I need the epidural. And because I told you there were so many of us giving birth that night,
It was like back to back.
they were like, oh, you got to wait for the anesthesiologist. I was like, no, I need something now. And that poor nurse, I felt so bad for her. After I had the baby, I was like, I'm so sorry. I was yelling at you. She was like, it happens all the time. It's okay. But I get the epidural. He finally comes, and I give birth
Like minutes
15 minutes later. Can you imagine that? I remember going in my head, I'm about to have this baby with no epidural. I'm about to have her with no medication.
But God knew. God
And
did.
when I tell you pain, they gave me that epidural. 15 minutes later, they're like, okay, you're at 10 centimeters. Don't push yet. And then boom.
She came out.
She-
and it was like,
yeah.
whoa.
So
We
you
like,
talking about-
whoa. What you talking about? Whoa.
Yeah, she flew out like a water slide. But it was so different we went from 20 hours of labor the first time to 8 hours of labor the second time. That was a good one. I love that one that you just shared.
Yeah, and there's so many though, like
Yeah.
not even just major successes. I would say the most enjoyable moments I've had in our marriage have been one, just us. Like when we went to, I guess that was major too. For our 10-year anniversary, we went to Cabo.
Oh, Cabo was amazing.
It was an adult trip. It was just me and my wife and another couple and friends we had the chance to fellowship with and have a great trip and vacation. But that was the first time post kids we had been abroad and actually just having time to ourselves
Without the kids.
Yeah. It was nerve-wracking, but at the same time it was such a wonderful time because we got to just be a couple and date one another and be in a foreign country and eat wonderful food and be together. You know what I mean? And be in paradise, which is exactly what it was. So it was. I look forward to more opportunities like that, where we continue to create more memories.
Yeah.
With each other, as well as with our family, with our children too. But though any also side note, anywhere we're near the beach, we're happy.
Yes,
we even went to the beach today.
So today's our wedding anniversary. I don't know if I said that at the beginning. Today is our actual wedding anniversary. We went to the beach today. We had brunch. We sat on the beach. We talked and just spent a few hours together. It was so nice.
Newport Beach. It was wonderful.
Okay, so here's the thing, because you were talking about togetherness. What was that? Okay, do you remember this? The 222 thing?
Remind me.
Okay, so this is the thing that a friend was telling us, you got to do the 222. And I was like, what is that? And so it was go on a date night every 2 weeks, right? Do an overnight date every 2 months. So that's like where you actually go with your spouse somewhere overnight every 2 months. So you get like a full day and a half of time. And then every 2 years, take an adults only vacation
Trip. Right.
When I tell you, I love that. So right now we're working on just trying to do the date night every month. We haven't gotten every 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. Yes.
We're not there yet.
No.
So we're at like once a month.
What's the mother right now?
But honestly, like what my husband said about the togetherness, it's important. Like, think about, especially before you have kids, like whatever it was that you did that you really loved about your spouse and the things that make you have fun together, keep doing those things. The beach has always been our thing. We went to our honeymoon at the beach. We were in Punta Cana.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like do the thing. So two. Have a date night every 2 weeks, do an overnight date every 2 months, and then take a solo vacation every 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to share, honey?
One, I love you.
I love you.
Again, grateful for what God continues to do and how He's continuing to use us for our own family, but
Yeah.
for the greater good. Marriage is a living example of God's love for us. It's Christ died for His church, which is the bride of Christ. And even as our charge as husbands is, well, how are you supposed to love your wife? Well, you're supposed to love your wife as Christ loved the church. Well, what did Christ do? He suffered for the church. He was ridiculed for the church. He died and sacrificed himself for the church. And he also rose again with all power in his hands for his church, for his people. Mm-hmm. And those churches are the people that have accepted Christ as Lord and Savior. And so we in marriage, or married people who are born again believers, are a mirror image of that. We are to die to Him in submission, but we're also to die to one another. It's a daily walk and a daily talk that we should have amongst ourselves in order to continue to be together and be whole with one another, to the extent that we're honoring Him through our marriage.
And I love that. And I want to say, the Bible talks about dying to yourself, right? And that really is, the more and more that you can, like, what does that mean in practical ways? Because
Don't be selfish.
Don't be selfish, right? Like, don't be selfish. It's not just about what you want to do, where you want to go. And sometimes you're not going to get your own way. And then you got to be okay with that. Compromise is real, but also sometimes it is. I love what you said. You got to sacrifice for the other person. Like, maybe you don't like that movie, but you're going to sit through that movie because your spouse liked that movie. Or your spouse has this evening routine of this show they like to watch, and you don't like that show, but you're going to sit through it. I'm trying to think, is there something that you do that I really don't like, but I do it because you like it? I can't think of anything. Like, I think why I wish you could see the face he's giving me right now. What is it? Is there something? Because I can't think of anything.
Something that you
Well, I
do
want to give a good example. Like something that
like.
I do that I may not like, but I do it for you. Talking about your suffering example.
I don't know.
Why are you laughing right now?
Because I'm really trying to think.
Like, what is funny? Okay, is there do we have the opposite? Something that you do to sacrifice to me that you don't like to do?
I don't like folding these clothes all the time. There's a pile of clothes right now that needs to get folded. I don't like folding these clothes. But yet I do them because I love you and I love our family. And if I don't fold them, then we get folded. But that's another topic. Can the church say amen? All the men that don't fold, that fold. But I think
that was funny.
Yeah,
you can't think of nothing.
I mean, not off the top of my head. I'd have to think about that. But I think there are things that we do sacrificially with one another because we just do it.
Yeah.
It's hard to call it out, but there's things that. Okay, here's a good one. I'm not the biggest fan of Kids Baking Championship.
That's for the kids. That's not for me.
Okay, so what
I
show?
don't watch that show.
What show are you big on right now? We both love Paradise.
Oh, listen, if you're not watching Paradise, I need you to get into
Yeah.
it. Um,
Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. Communication. I don't like talking a lot.
oh, there's a good one.
That's a great one.
Yes,
I
listen,
don't like talking a lot, and she still wants to talk
and want to talk
all
to
the time.
you.
I want to talk to you. I want to know what you mean.
What
I
do
know
you?
what you're thinking. What are you thinking? What do you feel? I don't feel nothing right now. Someone go to sleep. I want to go to sleep. I don't feel nothing right. I'm honestly not thinking about nothing. But you be like, I don't understand. You're not saying anything. You need to say something else. I'd be like, I don't have nothing else to say.
Is that your person?
That's it. Yes. What are you feeling? You be like, you be like really in tune to like really like you're because I think it's also the clinical part of you and you just checking in, which I appreciate. But sometimes it's like I don't have anything, and then I engage because I know that's where we need to go, and maybe we haven't checked in, and then I have to do the gut check of okay, well Brandon, this is not about you. Clearly, there's something that is she may be feeling, and maybe you missed it. So let's actually check in. Let's actually have a conversation, or something I do that you don't like. Right, having the earpiece in,
Oh, it's so annoying.
listening
Oh my God.
listening to whatever.
It
It
doesn't
could be a
matter.
podcast, it could be scripture, it could be watching my favorite
He
show,
will have a ear.
whatever.
But why?
Around the house.
Okay, but
But why though?
why? Please help. Tell. I'm gonna come back to your. I want to. So let's pause. I want to acknowledge that I appreciate so much that you try to communicate. You try to be vulnerable, though it's like the most uncomfortable thing for you. You do it, and I do probe and I ask questions because if I don't know that you're gonna do it on your own. But so I commend you and I appreciate you for working on being vulnerable and communicating, even when you don't want to. Now, my question or my comment about what you just said was, I forgot what you just said.
See, you ain't listening to me.
Oh, it was the earbuds. No, I remember. It's the earbuds.
Whatever.
But tell them.
You ain't listening to me. You ain't listening to me. Mm-mm. See what she do? See y'all. I'm glad y'all here. I'm glad y'all getting the glimpse. See what you had said was, and then she forgot everything I said. I even gave her a lob. I gave her the earpiece one. But anyway, go ahead, babe. I'm sorry.
I was so listening. I was actively listening to you.
Oh, actively? Let's not use that term. You was listening to respond. You were listening to actively.
No. Oh, don't do me like that. Okay, listen. I was listening. So listen.
Okay.
Can you tell the people why? Why? What is the issue with the earbuds?
Okay. So
Why does it bother me?
So it bothers you because oftentimes when I have them in at times and I'm making a conscious and purpose effort to not have them in because it is a way of blocking out the noise of our household, and I need to be engaged and present with you and the girls. But for and not but and for me, because I usually do that when I'm doing something like doing the dishes or the things to stay organized at the house, or I might have just shifted from work to now I'm being present with the family. I also didn't get a time, when I was driving into work. Let me back up. When I was traveling or commuting into work, a lot of times, you know what I mean? I had time to decompress. Whereas now, working 100% from home, which I'm grateful for, I'm blessed to have that opportunity, but I don't get time to decompress from that to now being present at home.
I love that you said that. I think sometimes we I think we can forget about COVID. You know what I mean? Like and let me be very clear because I'm not trying to be insensitive. COVID was a very difficult time,
yes,
and people lost loved ones,
yes,
and things were shaken up, right?
Yeah.
But when I say, I think what I'm trying to say is I think sometimes we forget about the impact of COVID.
Right.
So many of our companies have not gone back into the office. like they've given up lease space. There's buildings that are no longer being leased out. So there were long-term implications for COVID.
Yeah.
Primarily, he worked from home, and I primarily work from home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that you're so right. That need to decompress. So he used to have. So we live in the Inland Empire. For those of you who are familiar with Southern California, but he used to work in LA. So he had an hour and a half on the train on the way home, and he would decompress the whole time. Like I wouldn't even talk to him on the train. He would call and say,
That's a great
"Babe."
example because I went on the phone like that.
No, he
Ben?
would call. He would call and say,
Wow.
"Babe, I'm on the train." And then I knew, okay, leave him alone. Give him an hour and a half. By the time he got home, he was ready to engage with me. And at that time, our one daughter, we hadn't had the second one yet. So no, go ahead. You're right.
That's a great point. But I didn't even think of even being on the train, being able to watch my show or whatever, listen to a podcast
Yeah.
or do anything. That was my time to, okay, I can unwind. By the time I get home, I'm fully engaged at home. Whereas now, I'm still thinking of, I need that decompression time, but everybody's here.
Yeah.
Like I'm here and they're here, and that's not fair to them. So I need to. I'm still working through, and this is okay, guys, gentlemen. It's and ladies, it's still okay to figure out what's going to be your method and approach and your system to still show up and be present for your family, as well as do what you need to do with your work, whatever that work looks like for you. For me, and I know it's going to shift too in the future as God continues to open doors, right? So I think the beautiful thing about what we do even now, preparing for each week, is we check in. Okay, what's your week looking like?
Yeah, we meet usually on like Saturday morning. So we have a weekly meeting. So this is, I love that you went here, babe.
Yeah.
Would recommend this for any couple. Like if you're engaged or about to get married or you're already married, have a weekly meeting with your spouse. Like just check in, review what's, so what we do is we check in, we review what's happening for the week. Hey, I'm going to be here, got to do this, or, and we'll walk through, okay, are you able to pick up the kids on this date? Can you do drop off this date? Because I'm here and I'm there. Like my husband's going to be out of town twice this week. And so we've already kind of walked through this schedule.
And she was out of town
last week.
3 times last week. She was going Wednesday through Friday. She got back Friday. So we talked through what that looked like and how that impacted our household, and we managed accordingly.
And it helps with the communication. So we have a family calendar. We have a family calendar up in the kitchen that everyone can see. And we also have, an electronic calendar that we both have access to. And I think going back to the point around communication, this is what helps us with communication, is that weekly check-in meeting, what's happening. Because it's not just us before. When it was just us, okay, fine. No, it's us plus our children. So our children have a schedule. They have school. Yeah. They have events at the school. They get out early sometimes.
And they get out of
they
school.
They're in sports and they have practice and they have competitions. They have all these things. And then he and I, we have our things. And so that weekly meeting helps because we can't remember everything, you know? And so whatever, it's like, oh, hey, I got a doctor's appointment here, or hey, I'm meeting a friend for lunch there. And so that weekly meeting helps us to fine-tune that communication, and that fine-tuning that communication helps with the little things. It's the little things that will irritate you. It's the little things that will cause arguments in your marriage. And then you're sitting back on like, what are we arguing about?
The juice.
You arguing about juice, but it really ain't about juice. You mad because he didn't tell you he was going to go play basketball with his friends, and now you can't go out with your girlfriends because you had a miscommunication. Right. Like those are the things, and now you fighting about juice. And it's not about juice. He didn't put it on the calendar, and now you mad because you can't do what you looked forward to all week doing.
All week, right? Or all month, because you've already put. Because for me, I try to give my wife as much time as possible. Like I have a trip that's coming up in July. With friends, with my guy friends, guys trip. We try to do it annually, at least once a year. But a good group of brothers, we just get out, go have fun, and then come back. It's not a long-term trip, but it is maybe a weekend or whatnot. I communicated that they were thinking about having a trip. What, 2 months ago?
2 months ago.
It's like, hey, babe, such and such is thinking about us going to Vegas. What do you think? Oh, yeah, go, babe. That's cool. When is it? July 4th. You gonna go July 4th? Well, yeah, that's what kind of thing, but we're not sure, so I'll let you know. But it's the early communication, and then checking. It's not asking for permission, but you are checking in with your person to make sure that they're okay with what you about to do. Like, I encourage my wife to go as much as possible, engage with her friends, spend time with her friends, because that makes her happy. That makes
Yeah.
her whole, and it ensures a healthy marriage for us. Because she can come back to me feeling like a piece of her has been acknowledged and seen and fulfilled in a manner that I can't. Right?
And I love that you said, I want to say this. What works for you in your marriage works for you in your marriage.
Right.
What works for us in our marriage works for us in our marriage. Don't feel like, well, because so and so over here, they're doing this, I need to be doing that. No, what works for your marriage is what works for your marriage. Now, that doesn't mean you can't glean from other people. You absolutely need support systems and other couples that you can pray with and that can pour into you. But there may be something that you like that your friend doesn't like, and they don't do that in their marriage. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you can't do it in yours, right? So I just want to share that. So if you're like, oh, well, I don't want to spend time by myself, I just want to be with my kids and my spouse, that's okay. But I also encourage you, take some time to yourself as well. And so whatever works, because somebody's listening to this and they're like, oh, my husband ain't taking no man's trip nowhere. And that's cool for you and your marriage. But for us, this is this is something my husband does annually. And I need my husband to be healthy and whole. And if part of healthy and whole means he gets me time and he chooses his me time to spend with his friends, go do your me time, boo. Go do it, right? Because trust and believe, when it's somewhere for me to go, I'm out. And it ain't no qualms about it. Like,
Yeah.
all
She
right, babe, I'm
she she
gone.
left.
Whatever. Okay, here's the last thing I'm going to say. Because we talk about communication. Don't be afraid to share yourself with your partner. Like, I know sometimes it can be, you're having your experiences as a unit, and then you have your experiences individually that sometimes can feel like it's just you going through it and your spouse is not going through it. And you can sometimes want to just isolate. Well, I don't want to burden them with this. I'm going to just pray. I'm going to just deal with them and work through it. But we weren't meant to be alone, and we weren't meant to shoulder and bear that alone. You have a partner for a reason. So I would just encourage you to share yourself with your partner. And if you're the one who is on the opposite side of that, so maybe you're the one who are like, oh, I want my partner to share more with me, I want them to talk more with me, absolutely encourage that. And the question I would say to you is, are you a safe space for your partner? Like, when they come and say stuff to you, are you, well, I told you shouldn't have did that? Or is it constantly belittling or ridiculing them? If they don't feel safe with you, they're not going to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just simple,
It's either
right?
party.
So you also, and this is something I've learned about marriage, you have to be a safe space for your partner.
And,
Period. Whether you're the husband or the wife,
and
you have to be a safe space. If you're not a safe space, then you can't grow together, because then that becomes secrets. It becomes, well, I can't talk to them about this. And then you have somebody who could be suffering in silence in their marriage because they don't feel like you'll support them. So, it is a balance. It is a balance. But if you feel like, yeah, no, I created a safe space, then check in with your spouse and go, hey, I want us to feel safe in this marriage. I want you to feel like you can confide in me. How can I better support you? You could just start with that question. How can I better support you? How can I better show up for you? I'll leave y'all with this.
we asked that today with
That's
our
what
marriage,
I was
because
exactly
we.
about to say that.
But going back to, I'm going to back up a little bit, because staying on that safe space piece is, you cannot keep an account. You can't check the boxes of, well, you did this, you did that. You have to keep a short account. The Bible talks about love covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
And in marriage, you have to toss those things in the sea of forgetfulness of, maybe this person didn't show up for you in that moment the way you wanted them to, or you felt disrespected or wronged in a certain way. As God forgives us, we too should forgive one another, casting all of our mistakes, our hurts, habits, and hang-ups, and letting those things go. Because the more that we hold on to it, the more we hold ourselves back from the blessings and where God wants to take us. And in marriage, in a holy matrimony, in a union, it's important that we really not hold those things against one another. That those mistakes and those oughts that we've done and made, either knowingly or unknowingly. And it's important that we, recognize that we've all fall short, and we can recover, and we can learn from those mistakes, and we can become better. And that's really what's important as we continue to walk this walk of marriage and union with one another.
It's been beautiful reflecting on 12 years with you.
It's good.
And I'm glad that you were able to hop on the pod today.
Thank you, Barry.
Anything else you want to say to the people?
No, it's been wonderful. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for having me back.
Of course, always. I hope that this was encouraging. If you're married, I would encourage you this week to just take some time to reflect on your marriage, And the one question I asked that we didn't get to, how can I love you better? I would encourage you to ask your spouse, how can I love you better? Alrighty, so this is us, excited for 12 years and more to come. Signing off. Catch you next time. If this episode blessed you today, please share it with a friend. Tag me on social at Audrey T. Shelby. I will see you back here again soon.